So I wanted to talk about something today that I've felt for years as a YouTube viewer, and it's something that I think is likely going to resonate with a few people who are watching this when I say the current state of guitar marketing on YouTube sucks. It doesn't make sense for the viewer, it doesn't make sense for the YouTuber, it doesn't make sense for the brands. It could be done so much better, but it isn't. And I thought we would talk about it today, and realistically I probably shouldn't talk about it, because I think I, at least in some way, benefit from the way it's currently set up, but I also think that it's sort of killing the industry, so let's have a chat. So I was sick last week and had to have a day of bed rest, and that gave me an opportunity to do something that I don't regularly do, watch guitar YouTube, and I was quickly reminded why it's not something that I do regularly. You see, I happened to get sick on a product release day. You probably know where this is going. YouTube, for my generation, sort of replaced TV. It did. It became the go-to thing to watch for entertainment. And the comparison between the two tends to be pretty good, except on this one aspect. If you're watching TV and there's a show you don't really care about, change the channel and there's a different show. But not on guitar YouTube, or at least not on product release days. It's on these days that you'll see most of the established guitar channels make roughly the same video about the same product and release it on the same day. And ask yourself, if you were watching TV and you changed the channel and you got the same show, and you changed the channel again and you got the same show, and the channel again and you got the same show, what would you do? I'd be likely to turn the TV off. So down to the nitty-gritty, why does this happen, and why does an alternative make sense? Well, it all starts with a product made from a manufacturer, and they want you to know about it. Makes sense. So, best place to go to do that is YouTube. Like I said, it's the new TV. Actually, arguably it's even better than TV for advertising, because you can target a demographic. I'd say 99.9% of the people watching this video right now are guitar players. It's a very concentrated group of people. So it's obviously a very good place to advertise a very specific product for that niche of people. So what happens is the companies send these products to YouTubers to make videos about. And depending on the size of the channel, depending on how the channel is run, it's a common enough occurrence that there is a financial incentive to make the video. There is payment involved. And, you know, it can be sizable amounts. I've seen some price lists. We're not talking small amounts of money here. So there's the advertising budget. And also a common enough occurrence in these deals is an embargo date. That's a date that you're not allowed to talk about a product before it's released. And this also makes perfect sense, because why would you want talking about or advertisement of a product that's not available for purchase yet? So that's all fine, all makes sense so far. The next bit is where it sort of goes awry. And there's two ways it can happen. They both ultimately mean the same thing. The first is that the company will specify that they want the video released on the embargo date. This is something that I believe happened recently enough with the PRS Telly, but it's a very common occurrence. The company will specify release it on that day. The other thing that happens, and it still ultimately ends up with the same result, is that the company doesn't specify that they want it out on a specific day. They'll give you the embargo date. It has to be not before a certain date, but you know, you can pick any days after it. The YouTubers all choose to release it on release day, and this is more so to compete against others trying to upload it at the same time. Ultimately though, I think this just ends up backfiring, because what happens is that everybody releases the same video about the same thing on the same day. This bombards the subscription feed with the same video and thumbnails filled with the same product. And on the surface level, a company might think, hey, that's great, like our product is fully there. Yeah, but for a day. You've spent thousands in your marketing budget for a day, and it's being seen by the same people. There is a finite amount of people that guitar-specific products are going to appeal to, and there's a huge crossover among different channels' audiences. You're advertising to the same people a lot for one day, and then nothing after. And truth be told, I think I probably benefit from this. My views are quite high, and I'm not naive to think that that's not because I occasionally show my cats. Look at those cute little guys. They're judging you because you haven't liked the video yet. So, you know, fix that, please. But I also think that it's at least in part to avoiding the embargo day releases. You know, like the TV example. If you've got 5 channels and 4 are showing the same show and the 5th is not, you're likely going to watch the one that isn't showing the same thing. I still do gear demo stuff occasionally, and when I do, I intentionally avoid getting it anywhere close to the release day. I just don't think that adding to one of many other videos all at the same time is any way beneficial to anybody involved. So what would I suggest? What's the fix? Well, it's very easy, very simple. Don't all upload on the same day. That's it. Now, it requires a little bit of extra planning, but not that much compared to your standard marketing campaign. All you do is you give a different embargo day for each person who's releasing a video. You know, you release on the 22nd, you release on the 23rd, you release on the 25th. You know, spread out the marketing across a couple of weeks or a month instead of a day. You don't even have to adjust the marketing budget. It's the same amount of money that you're paying for it. It's just spread out. I believe that it would be more beneficial for a product to be seen by someone multiple times over the course of a week or 2 weeks, rather than have it seen multiple times over the course of a day and nothing after. With this current quick burn, flash in the pan marketing tactic that everybody seems to be applying, it doesn't benefit the smaller guitar-based companies that can't afford to buy out the entirety of guitar YouTube for a day. They're getting washed out by the companies who have bigger budgets. And that doesn't make sense in an industry this small. I see this tactic used in tech YouTube videos a lot, and that makes at least a little bit more sense because the amount of people watching are infinitely bigger and there just isn't as much overlap among YouTube audiences. So I've talked about how this would benefit the companies, but how would it benefit the YouTubers? Well, probably the least out of the bunch, because they benefit anyway. Most of them, or a lot of them, are getting paid to release these types of videos anyway, so it doesn't really matter what date they release on. So they benefit no matter what, but in this case, they potentially get more viewers, and that could potentially lead to more subscribers, more channel growth, so overall they still stand to benefit. I spoke briefly about this topic in a podcast that I did, and I'll link that podcast probably there and in the description, but the comments about that were it wouldn't work because YouTubers would just be fighting over who would get the first release embargo date. And to be fair, that's a very valid concern. You know, we're talking about guitar YouTubers here, so mentality of a 4-year-old combined with egos the size of semi-trucks. It's a valid concern, but it's worth noting that in the current setup, someone is still uploading last. I mean, I'll gladly upload last. I think I benefit from it, but you're still competing amongst each other, and even if you get to upload first, you're all releasing on the same day. So you get what, a half-hour head start, maybe an hour at most, before someone else has uploaded the same video about the same thing? You know, you're being pushed down in the sub-bar when that's happening. So it's not really benefiting you anyway to upload first on the day that everybody else uploads anyway. And plus, in the system that I'm suggesting, how would they know that they're first, third, 15th? They wouldn't. They're given a date that's the release on. And how does this benefit the viewer? Well, it gives them options, gives them choice. They can watch a different new video that day. They don't have to be forced to watch the same thing from everybody. Because remember what I said with the TV, we'll keep going back to that, you're more likely to turn it off, and that doesn't benefit anybody in this case. And I'll be honest, it's kind of part of the reason that I wanted to talk about this. It's because I think that's already happening. I'm seeing established gear reviewers getting less and less viewers, and that doesn't benefit anyone. So anyway, that's just a little bit of KDH consulting on the house. But please do talk a little bit about this in the comments. I'd be interesting to see, you know, what are your thoughts about the current situation? You know, everybody releases on the same day. Do you think that's a good thing? Do you enjoy that? Does it make you want to turn it off? Does it make you want to watch something completely different? Put it down in the comments, and subscribe if you want to. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.